Benefits are boring, or are they? Do they have to be? We are excited today to be talking about benefits. Funny thing to say, I know, but benefits are, as I talk to a lot of my business owners about, we have 7 negotiating buttons we can hit when we're looking to bring on and retain our talent, and benefits is one of those buttons. And I was just kind of saying before we started this live stream, I've been doing a ton of interviewing this week, and 40 to 50% of the people I've talked to the first conversation I've had with them have asked me about the benefit package of the company in question. It is one of the top 3 topics on the mind of people that are thinking about changing jobs, especially after coming out of the pandemic. Benefits are important. My name is Corey Harlock. I am the creator of KeyHire. Welcome to the KeyHire show for small business. We're happy to have you here. KeyHire, we are a fractional talent planning and acquisition company. Basically, we do twice the work of an agency for less than half the price. We take care of all of it for you. We're full cycle, work on leadership positions, new positions. But today we want to take you into the world of building a better mousetrap to be competitive, to get that top talent and retain your top talent in your business through rethinking your benefit program. Just a side note, if you have any questions, please throw them in the comment section. We already got one. Thanks, Bob. I appreciate it. How are you? You're busy, Bob. How do you have time to be checking in on us here today? I appreciate it. The other piece of news is this is the second last show of season 1. We have one more show coming up. We're going to kind of take the summer off. We got some stuff we're going to post up there for everyone. We'll be coming back in August with season 2, but keep those comments and questions coming. We love them. So without further ado, our guest today is Katelynn Diamond. And I've known Katelynn for years and years and years. And what's impressive about her is I've introduced her to several of my clients, and she has always been able to find a solution for them. And her and I were kind of talking a few weeks ago about how people need to be rethinking their benefit program. And as we were having the conversation, I thought, man, people need to know this information. So we decided to have, she was gracious enough. She's traveling. She's found a spot to plug in and be with us here this afternoon. So Matt, let's bring on Katelynn if we can. Hey, Miss Diamond,
hey,
how are you?
Corey. I'm doing well. I feel like you almost said Tuning. You almost said my maiden name.
I know, that's why
how long we've known each other.
I know, I'm always confused because that's your maiden name, right? Now Diamond is your married name. But hey, thanks for you're dialing in from Little Rock, Arkansas. That's awesome.
I am. I've been here for about 2 hours. So,
so cool.
Rearrange things to make sure that I was where I needed to be at 2 o'clock. So thank you for having me.
Very cool. So we're going to be talking about benefits. So just to kind of as a preface, give us, like, you deal with small to mid-sized business exclusively, do you not?
Yes.
So tell just so to build some legitimacy in here so people understand that this is what you do, give everyone kind of a quick snapshot of the companies you deal with and the business owners you work with.
Yeah. So my smallest client, I think, is about 7 employees. And then my largest client is about 200 and 250. But I would say the majority of them are in that 30 to 50, 30 to 60 range. And traditionally, when it comes to benefits, most small and mid-sized companies feel like they have very limited access and very limited options, right? Like, we think of benefits, it's medical, dental, vision, and that's all we care about. That's all we can afford. That's, what people are looking for, right? Is that what you hear?
That, it's like, and this is the best plan we can get.
Right.
And it's the box we have, right?
Exactly. It's a box, right? It's a small box. Traditionally, it's been a small box, right? You go to the BUCA carriers. When I say BUCA, that's Blue Cross, United Healthcare, Cigna, and Aetna. But I would say over the last, 10 years, and I've been in the HCM benefit space for the last, 8 to 10 years, and things have changed. There's a lot more options for business owners when it comes to the type of funding. So traditionally, most people think fully insured. There's, level funding, there's self-funding, and there's other carriers that are available to you with strategic and just outside of the box plans that you don't traditionally see. And a lot of brokers aren't showing to the smaller and mid-size organizations. So.
And all that stuff you just talked about, I mean, business owners love to talk about that stuff. I mean, they're so passionate about it. That's me being sarcastic, right?
I was like, are they though? Are they?
And this is why I think this topic's so interesting. And I think, Matt, we just kind of covered the first question, right? Like, what are benefits as an overview? But they're becoming really important. And, especially with KeyHire, as we're trying to bring in that kind of capacity and transformational talent into businesses, they're coming from larger operations where they might have we'll use a trendy word, like a robust benefit package, right? And people get used to that. And then when they come and join a small business owner where they can have influence and impact and really flex their muscles, they don't want to feel like they're kind of hanging in the breeze, right? They're vulnerable. They're not covered up the way they used to be. Mm-hmm. So, we've covered what are the benefits. So why I was so interested in having you on was you were talking about the way the landscape's changed and all the options that are available out there. So do you see in your world as a business owner, some of the mistakes that they might be making around just kind of settling for a traditional benefits program and saying, well, that's what we offer. That's all we can do.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's several mistakes and, not to their fault. If you don't know what you don't know.
Correct.
And I think we talked about the three things I kind of wanted to focus on that I felt would really, drive home why we're here. And typically I think when it comes time for a renewal or even implementing benefits, a lot of brokers don't go outside of the box. They're not thinking outside of the box. So therefore they present a business owner, a controller, an HR director with a spreadsheet of plans from those traditional carriers we talked about. And they're like, well, the premiums are really high because you may not have a ton of people on your plan. So let's go with a really terrible deductible and even more terrible out-of-pocket max to really low premium. For example, an HSA, a high savings, health savings account came about several years ago. And that's kind of the road we went down to get premiums lower. And that's fine. And that may work for some people. But what we're seeing is we're not having a lot of people jump on the plan because the benefits aren't that great. And so there are other things now, like I mentioned, level funding. It's not a fully insured, but it's not a true self-funded plan either. It's somewhere in the middle. But also we're seeing a lot more self-funding, which I won't get into the nuances of that, but just another option for companies that are really wanting to invest in their employees and who find employee benefits important, which I think is, I cannot stress enough. I know it's my job and you know it, but employee benefits are important.
They should be thinking it's important because it is a huge negotiating tool for them if they want to get people into their business and keep people in their business.
And you want your people to feel like they're important to you, right? Like I know organizations have bottom lines, all these things, but if you're not keeping people, man, that turnover costs, so it all goes into that. So really just the out of the box of the actual health benefits. There are different carriers out there. I work with one carrier and it's a crazy name. I'm going to throw it out there because the name is so funny and people will get a laugh. Gravy. The carrier, that is the name of the carrier. It's called Gravy. But I'll tell you what, I have several companies with them and they love them. And the plans are, they're not traditional, but they work for this organization. No one had ever showed them to them before. And they have more people coming on the plan this year. I mean, there's just so many options when it comes to medical that's outside of your traditional medical.
Okay, so that's cool. So we can go look and say medical is, I mean, everyone wants dental vision, right? That is a deal. And just to go back, I've talked to people that have wanted to leave companies because their benefit plan was so poor, right?
Mhm.
And as people go through their cycle of life, they have kids, they get married, they start having kids, benefits become important. Then as kids grow up and get off the plan and start going to school, maybe not so much. But then we start aging, or someone has a health issue. You know, we hear that all the time. Like, the benefit plan's really important because my spouse has a condition.
Yeah.
So that's one angle of it, is just making sure we take care of that, the medical, dental, vision side.
Yeah, the medical piece, while keeping your employees top of mind, there's ways to keep your employees top of mind and your bottom line top of mind as well. And so I think it's important to make sure that you are working with someone that is looking outside of the traditional box for you. Mm-hmm.
So what are some other things that might fall into the outside the box, the more untraditional methods that might be a tool you can leverage when it comes to attraction and retention?
Absolutely. What we see, and I just got out of a open enrollment with one of my clients specifically, who was wanting to add some additional benefits that wouldn't necessarily cost the company any money, but that employees may be looking for. And when I say millennials, we've all heard of the whole pet insurance thing. That's real. Like,
Sure,
people are looking for that. So if you can build, kind of two-part, a solid wellness program, and whether that's being, you incentivize them to go and get their annual physical with, putting a couple $100 in their HSA account, or incentivize them by giving them a gift, whatever it may be, building a wellness program is huge. And the second piece is building that word robust voluntary program, right? And that's where these voluntary benefits come in that the company doesn't necessarily have to pay for, but employees are looking for, meaning adding, additional life insurance options, because it's going to be much more affordable to the employee to get it through a company offering. Company doesn't have to pay for it, but they're getting it. Guarantee issues a lot higher, and they're more likely to enroll in it than,
Sure.
calling somebody to do all that outside of open enrollment. And so building, with additional life insurance, pet insurance, legal insurance, that's a great example. My husband started a new job in December, and neither one of us had ever done legal assistance, because we don't need it, have never needed it, knock on wood. But in there, and it's a very low premium. In there, you're able to build your will and power of attorney and things like that. And you can do so you're paying your low premium every month, and it's included in that. And we were able to do all that online, got it notarized online. They send the portion of it to the county. And we've talked about it since we had our daughter for over two years almost. But we probably wouldn't have done it anytime soon if we didn't have access to that. So giving your employees access to things like that is huge. And it's not costing the company any money, but your employees have access to it at a lower cost than they would out on the open market. So that's another piece that we're seeing that kind of brings this whole health and wellness package together to make you more competitive.
That's really cool. And then, so I'm assuming in there is like the employee where you can kind of get mental health care and all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
and that. So I will say, with all the medical plans now, mental health is included, but there are so many different options now that you can do with virtual care and virtual mental health, right? Like, coming out of COVID, that is the number one thing that we have seen go through the roof. The number one ask in all of my enrollment meetings is, what does our mental health care look like? So part of that is packaged in your health piece, but there are so many add-ons that you can do. Now, whether that's, I would highly suggest that being company paid, because that's extremely important. Sure. But there are so many avenues for that now that almost all of my clients have added on because of what we've seen coming out of COVID. Mm-hmm.
So here's an interesting question for you. Is it possible to create a plan where it's almost like a buffet, right? Where the employees can pick what's important to them versus the employer saying, here's the plan we're going to invest in, and we're going to try to get people to squeeze into the plan we think is the best? Or are there options now where you can say, look, here are the 10 things we have. You build the plan you want, and then that will generate a premium for you.
I mean, I would say it's a little bit of both. You're always going to have your health plans, whatever they may look like. And we,
Right.
Depending on the size of the organization, offering 2 to 3 plans.
And
Obviously,
that's the benefits dental vision, right?
that's the health plan, right? And so you get a couple different options. Usually it's a difference in deductible, whatever you're comfortable with. But then everything else, adding on dental and vision, if you want to do that, you can. And it's a pretty low premium. And then all of these other things we're talking about. So if you want to do pet insurance, if you want to do additional voluntary life insurance, if you want to do legal, you get to choose all of these things. The company doesn't force you to enroll in them. You get to choose what's important to you. And that's, I just had an open enrollment last week, and we started offering pet and a legal assistance. And again, I think it's, who you're talking to. One may want one while the other thinks pets insurance is dumb. But there's all kinds of things: cancer, hospital indemnity coverage, critical illness coverage. These are all things we're seeing that they're really important to some people, and other people may not care at all. And so when you make them voluntary, again, not costing the company anything, but it allows your employees to feel like they are, putting on their plate what works for them.
For sure. And so I just want to make sure I understand. I always like to view these conversation as, well, what I am, a really dumb business owner, right? So
No.
So when you say no cost to the owner of the business, if I, the employee, sign up for pet care or pet insurance, I pay a premium to that, but there's no match or requirement from the business owner.
Correct.
So they're going to sign up for their health benefits, and they're going to say, I will take your dental and your vision, and then you can offer them previous hospitality guys. So you give them a menu of all these extra things. And, being a middle-aged married guy with 2 kids, my needs would be very different than, someone coming out of college who's single and has a cat or a dog. So I can pick the things that are important to me. They can pick the things that are important to them. And we've almost customized the plan to the individual.
Yeah. So in an example there, literally what you just said: married, have 2 kids, your kids play sports, right? So an accident ancillary package, I won't get into the details of that, may be important to you. Your kid falls, breaks his arm. We, send it in. We have accident coverage. You get a check in the mail to help cover whatever.
Sure.
Somebody just getting out of college with a cat or a dog may be like, my cat or dog is my child, so I want pet insurance. So yes, you are able to choose one or the other or both. And that's the beauty, right, of being able to offer these voluntary packages, is because you can kind of, if you're offering 4 different things, someone may want all 4, someone may want none, and someone may want someone in the middle.
And I think the power in that is if a business owner, and I want to say takes the time, but I don't feel like there's a huge time investment, right? If they have the right broker and they're dealing with the right company, like, you come in and say, hey, I'm walking through your business and I'm seeing a lot of diversity in terms of the people and your ages and all that good stuff. And we can put together something for you that is cost effective to you, but makes your employees feel like you're thinking, no matter who you sit down with and put the package in front of them, they're going to feel like, hey, you thought about me when you were talking to Katelynn about what can we offer. You didn't just say, give me the cheapest thing you have, and we're going to roll that out.
Yes, exactly. It gives your employees access to those things that they may not have access to on the open market, or would be much more expensive. And so exactly, like, I started a new company and I see that they have pet insurance, and I'm like, fantastic. I have a dog. Like, this is wonderful. Right. Or, I have children. We need that accident coverage, or we need whatever it may be, or I'm going to have children. So what can this legal assistance do for me? Can I, create a will? Can I create a power of attorney?
it's really cool. And it's funny because you've been doing this a long time. So you're like wired to think of it as the benefit to the company. But I'm wired to think of it as, okay, if
For the
I'm
employee.
bringing someone to this business owner or as a business owner in a negotiation with someone, they're really excited and they're going to ask, right? We can hope, oh, don't ask about benefits, or we can put a plan in place to say, ask me, because I want to be able to say, hey, this is really important to us. And we've really turned over every stone we can. And here's our base offering. And here's what you can how you can customize your own plan to take care of you and your family or your pet or whomever. That can't be understated how important that is in the negotiation process when you're trying to bring someone on board, especially if they're coming from a big company where they have what they feel is like, the Cadillac of benefit programs. And they're like, well, because that, in a sense, a benefit program can almost act like golden handcuffs for these people, right? They're like, well, I hate to walk away from all this, right? It's like LTIs. Well, I got these stocks that are going to roll over every year they vest. And if I walk away, I'm leaving money on the table. And people can feel like that about their benefit program. Like, man, I'm walking away from this. And I think I said it before, but they don't want to feel exposed. They don't want to feel like I was covered up by this company and they took great care of me. Now by joining this new company, I'm vulnerable. I have, if the wrong thing happens, I can be susceptible or vulnerable to something bad happening to me and my family.
Yes.
And that's essentially, I think, when you talk about all these all the different offerings, what we're doing is really selling security and safety to people.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good way to think about it.
And it's important.
It's very important. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say the third part, and you kind of mentioned it a few minutes ago, that let's say is, talking about what your different options are as a business owner, all the things that you can offer for your employees, what employees are looking for. I think the thing that kind of puts a bow on it is the relationship that you have with your broker. And Corey and I talked about how important this is. And he was like, well, how often should a business owner, whoever is making the decisions, be meeting with their broker? And if you are not hearing from your broker or account manager at least once a month in regards to something, and I'm not saying meeting with them, but just like an email, a call, unless you don't want to be bothered, but that's a whole nother conversation. I don't think that's good. And it's something that I have been taught, and I've seen what can happen if you don't do it and what happens when you do it. Having quarterly meetings to talk about how the plan is going, or do you have feedback from your employees about the plans we put in place? Do they love them? Do they hate them? Did someone is there a gap in care somewhere? Is someone's doctor now out of network? Whatever it may be, having those quarterly meetings, I think it definitely helps build that relationship, and it lets us know what we need to do when it comes time for your enrollment. So I would say communication is key. Like if they're calling you 60 to 30 days before your open enrollment with, hey, here's your renewal, you got a 15% increase, when do you want to have open enrollment meetings? I would highly suggest to look elsewhere, because having that constant communication throughout the year is extremely important for you and your employees. So that's a huge thing. And you want to be able to trust them. I mean, I go into so many meetings and they're like, well, we're 45 days out from our open enrollment meeting and we got a 25% increase. What can you do for us? And we're like, well, probably nothing at this point, but this is what we can do going forward. But we want to eliminate that headache and that stress. And so communication is key. And if your broker is not talking to you about some of these words I've used, level funded, self-funded, captives, all these different outside of the box, if they're not coming to you with carriers that sound crazy, like the name Gravy, and I say that because my rep will say the same thing. If they're not coming you with these alternative solutions, I really think you're missing the boat, because there's a lot of things out in the market that are just awesome and can help you as a business owner and help your employees.
So I think what I hear you say is benefits or your program is not a set it and forget it.
Correct. It is not. Your employee benefits program is something that's constantly being used. Someone is using their benefits. They're going to the ER at midnight. They're taking their sick kid to the doctor at 8 a.m. They're having a baby. They're breaking their ankle. Like they need to talk to a therapist. Your benefits are always being used. And if me as a broker, if I'm not getting feedback from my clients on, hey, I think we may have a gap here, or we've heard, we have a few people have asked about legal assistance. Like if I'm not having those conversations with my clients, another broker is. And so me as a broker, selfishly, like I do that because I want to make sure that my clients are happy. Like,
right.
And that's how you do it. It's the communication. It's the being in front of each other. It's not just me waiting for the phone to ring when something's wrong. Me and my team need to be proactive. And so I think that's huge.
These are the reasons I love introducing you to my clients. And it's, as you're talking, the thought I had was, benefits, my impression is, and you'll correct me, but my impression is it's a very transactional deal for a lot of business owners. Like, I need them, just give them to me. And then I don't want to talk to you. I don't need you to sell me anything. We'll just let these roll. And then if my rates go up too high, I'll call someone else, right?
I mean, you're correct. You're exactly right. And that's unfortunate, because it shouldn't be that way. Like if we're having these conversations, we know we have a lot of claims. We're probably going to get a high renewal. What can we do? What can we do to get these claims down? And the other thing I wanted to say, I knew there was one more thing I wanted to say. When it comes time for your open enrollment period with your employees, make sure whoever it is, your broker, your account managers, that they are either coming out on site and or doing webinars with your employees every year, even if your benefits aren't changing, because people forget how to utilize their benefits, or they don't use them correctly, or they don't use them when they should or how they should. And so the constant communication and education to your employees is huge, and it will play a major role in your claims and your renewals and everything like that. So that was the last part that I was like, there's one more thing I want to say. It's the education about your benefits to your employees. Cannot stress that enough.
Well, and it feels to me what you're kind of doing, creating a movement almost. And it's funny because we had Chris Mansky on last podcast, and he was all about communication. He's wealth management, and his motto for his company is every client, every month as well, right? Like wealth managers show up on your birthday, they send you a card and talk about what else you have for me, right? But you're creating a movement around, and what I was saying before, like benefits have traditionally, they're commodity. It's a very transactional thing. But in hearing you talk, and in my experience, and that's why I think I like working with you so much, is it's not a commodity. It's a very personal, yes, interactive, living, breathing thing. And like you said, if people in your company they're utilizing the benefits and you don't know as a business owner, right? And so if it's just set it and forget it, and your people they're struggling with something and you don't even know about it. And so creating these conversations around, even having you come in and talk to people about the program, right? Mm-hmm. They might tell you something they wouldn't tell a business owner because they don't want to be vulnerable with a business owner, or they don't want to, feel like they're at risk or whatever. And constantly shaping this and working with your provider is a very powerful thing. And I think there's a movement happening, and business owners that are kind of the early adopters of this are understanding that this is an ongoing conversation now. And this is a really personal and customizable thing that we can be doing to not only take care of our people, but show them we give a shit, and we want to take care of them. And look at what we're doing, and we're going to make sure this resource is here for you, and we're following up on it. And so that's what I think I hear from you, right? It's like that's what's cool about what you do and the Insgroup does is you guys are more than just, we're huge and we can get you the best deal. It's, you guys are really around, okay, well, what are your needs? And let's build the best program for you, which is in line with what I do as well. And it's like, we're not just going to sell you the out of the box, off the shelf solution. Here, this is what we do for everyone. Everyone gets the fun is in the work and creating the right solution for what people need.
Yes, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it.
Woo!
Got it.
Awesome. Cool. So I'm a business owner and I'm listening to this and I think, man, I have been thinking about benefits all wrong. They're not boring. They're actually
not
really
boring.
Cool. And there's so much more I could be doing with them. What do I do? What's next?
Well, you need to contact your broker if you are happy with that broker relationship. If you are not, my information will pop up at the end of this, but there it is right there. If you, and we get it, right? Some people have very long standing relationships with their broker. That can be a good thing. That can be a bad thing because they may not be up to date on what is best for your company. But regardless, reach out to your broker, reach out to me, whatever it may be, and get that conversation going. So, if you have a 1/1 renewal, right now is not too early to start talking about that. If you have a 10/1, if you have a mid-year, it's never too late to start talking about the changes that you want to make. Or even just if you listen to this and write down some buzzwords and I heard about this and I heard about this, what can we do? I say that is your number one move, because the last thing you want to do is wait until if you are a 1/1, which is most of what we see in the market, don't wait until October to do these. Some of these things take time and they take time educating your employees because it may be, a shift in what they're used to. So that would be my number one advice. Pick up the phone, send an email to your current broker, to myself. If you want to pick Corey's brain and see what he has to say about it, whoever it may be, what we say a trusted advisor, your advisor.
Yeah, sure.
That's my number one. Do that. Number two, make sure you're in communication with your advisor throughout the year. And number three, make sure you trust that advisor and make sure that you feel right about what they're doing for you and your employees. So
yeah, they got to be out there. Like you're saying, they should be talking to you every month, and they should probably be on site, 2, 3, 4 times a year to visit you and help you out and talk to your folks and do all that good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's, I could talk for hours about all this, but there's just so many things that, we can do for you to make sure your benefits are being utilized, and to educate your employees and to just make sure that we're all on the same page, with your plans, with your, could talk for hours, claims and all of that. So just communication is huge. So number one, pick up the phone, call your broker, call myself. Let's have a conversation.
And even if you're not their broker, but they want to pick your brain, can they still call you?
Absolutely. Please call me, send me an email, hit me up on LinkedIn. I would love to have a conversation.
Okay, so how do we get in touch with you? Matt's been flashing it around here, but let's do it one more time. How do we get in touch with you, Katelynn?
Yes, my email was up here, Katelynn.Diamond at Insgroup. Oh, it's Insgroup.net. Sorry, Matt. Katelynn.Diamond at Insgroup.net.
Hold on. He's gonna repair it.
That was very quick. I'm impressed.
Awesome.
I'm very impressed.
You're on LinkedIn as well.
I am on LinkedIn. Yes. Katelynn Diamond. That is me.
Hit you up on LinkedIn, message you, email. And if you want to learn more about the Insgroup, you can go to the website.
Yes, you can go to the insgroup.net website. My office is located in Houston, but we have offices all over the country. So if you have employees in other states, if you have locations in other states, we're able to service you there as well. But yes, please feel free to shoot me an email or a LinkedIn message. I would love to have a conversation with anybody.
Super cool. I think you proved today that benefits do not have to be boring. There's a ton of there's so many options out there that people just, when they hear, unfortunately, because it's become so commoditized, right? People hear benefits and they just kind of, and they're like, whatever. But they need to rethink it. It's important. It's important on a number of levels. It's important in my world as an attraction and retention, but it's also from an operational standpoint, showing your employees you give a shit and care about them and want to make sure they're taken care of so they can remain happy and productive workers is important too.
Yep, exactly. I could keep going, like I said. So yes, that's exactly right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you squeezing us in.
Thank you, Corey. I appreciate it.
We'll talk soon.
Yes.
Katelynn Diamond, she's awesome. If you like what you heard, I absolutely recommend just picking her brain. Small businesses, she understands your needs and can help customize and tailor a program for you. As we mentioned, what's coming up here. So if you want to get in touch with KeyHire, if you have some talent strategy or acquisition needs, you need to upgrade a role, create a new role, create a entire strategy, you can schedule a consultation with us on our website. You can email me directly, Matt, Corey at KeyHire.solutions. You can hit us up on our LinkedIn page. Oh, there's the email. You can hit us up on our LinkedIn page. Follow us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to, if you like what you're hearing, subscribe and to the podcast, to the YouTube station. We're on all the major platforms. Give us some love, subscribe, share it, send it to a business owner or a buddy you know that you think it will be a benefit to them. We're doing this to help small business owners. Give them information they might not otherwise be having. We have one more episode coming up to wrap up season 1. Chuck Hendy is going to be our guest. He's my Vistage chair. He's a successful businessman, all-around good guy. So we'll be talking to Chuck in 3 weeks, I think. Looking forward to that. So until next time, everyone, thanks for tuning in, and stop grinding and start growing.